Let's have some fun with Dr. Pun. Learning AI at OntarioMD.com.
Imagine you have a very smart robot doctor that can help you with your daily clinical practice. I'm Dr. Ian Pun. I'm a family physician in Scarborough, Ontario, and I run my own OSCAR EMR system. I am also the admin of the OSCAR Ontario Facebook group. These are my disclosures. I speak about EMR AI talks for various pharma companies. Today I'm going to talk about some clinical examples for beginners like easy prompting, intermittent usage like AI scribing, and advanced usages like generating EMR queries. So what is a large language model? It's actually a very big neural net computer. It was invented in 2017 by a paper called All You Need Is Attention with a transformer model paradigm. What it does is this computer pays attention and remembers the context and thinks like a human being. It's trained on lots of data, basically the entire text of the whole internet, public text, and it's digested down to tokens. The ChatGPT 4 actually uses more than 1 trillion tokens. So these large language models require all this pre-training. It takes about a month to do, and then the companies can fine-tune it, make specific applications for your specific need.
Let's have some fun with Dr. Pun. Learning AI at Ontario.
You just go to chatgpt.com. I pay for the ChatGPT because I find it's a little bit better than the free version. It's about $20 US a month, which is about $32 Canadian. So you get this very simple, sort of like Google interface, which you type the message in the message box below and ask it anything. These are the several use cases I use the ChatGPT for in my daily practice. So I will go through some of them today. So how do you use ChatGPT? First of all, you start with this thing called prompt recipe. You, number one, give it some medical context. Say, I am a doctor. 2, command or ask it a question. 3, give some data. 4, just go back to 2 and do it recursively. For example, you could say, I'm a doctor. Please explain these lab results. Hemoglobin of 90, hematocrit of 27, and HCV of 80. And press return. And ChatGPT will give you an answer. It'll describe these lab results indicate anemia, characterized by a decreased number of blood cells. And it'll tell you the reference range, approximately of the hemoglobin level for men and women. And then it will say, it'll explain what hematocrit is in normal ranges. And then it will also explain what MCV is. But notice that I also explained that the MCV is kind of low in the lower end of the normal range. So the ChatGPT actually knows the subtleties of these things. And also it will suggest this is a condition as microcytic anemia. So I'm giving a very simple example. I know that some doctors may say, I don't need AI to tell me this is anemia. I know what it is. I don't need the AI to tell me what it is. But I'm just giving a simple example. So we'll move on and deep dive into more complex examples. Okay, next slide. Let's say you're starting on your EMR and you need some templates for your EMR because the templates that come with the EMR aren't very useful and not very good and not really for your use case in your specialty. So I can use ChatGPT to make templates for your patient's interview. So let's start off with a simple example with a patient that has a knee problem. Can go to ChatGPT and say, I'm a family doctor, make a template for a history and physical for a knee injury. So ChatGPT will give you a whole template for a knee injury with the chief complaint, set, duration, mechanism of injury, location of pain, blah, blah, blah. It will tell you how to do the physical exam too. General inspection, palpitation, range of motion, anterior, posterior drawer test to test the ligaments. And also it'll tell you what image and assessment that you can fill in. So ChatGPT can generate this whole template for you. You just copy paste it back into your EMR. So you could just use it in the future when you see a patient with an injury. After I generate the template in ChatGPT, I copy paste the template into my template module of my OSCAR EMR, which I could recall any time afterwards into my eChart. You can also use this to generate questions for the patients, make a template. So I just email the questions for him and he will email me back. And then I could take his answers to his questions and put it into ChatGPT and it'll write me a history. I am a family doctor, generate questions, put answer after each question for patient to answer. For a patient who is with a knee injury. And then ChatGPT will generate about 10 to 20 questions that you could email to the patient.
Let's have some fun with Dr.
The next use case I'm going to use ChatGPT to do is to write an attending physician report. Here I put a whole bunch of almost random patient history of labs, consults, sometimes of my notes, physicals, x-rays. Just throw it all together into one big file. Just make sure you erase all the HPI, the health person information, like the names and the birth dates and OHIP numbers. So put that all in a text file and then put it into ChatGPT. And you say, use the following labs, imaging reports, consultation history, etc. Write a physician report for the insurance purpose. So highlight the important disease states and be very detailed and include all the detail and be as lengthy as possible. So when I do this, it will write me an APS. And you could adjust the languages with other prompts by, you could write it in a very formal language. You could even write it as point form if you want it to be more readable. So just remember, don't put any HPI in it. So with that APS generated, which is basically a cumulative patient profile, just add a reason for consultation and some more medicine and more up-to-date history. And you could even write a referral letter to, say, a gastroenterologist, for example, here. So the latest features of the newest ChatGPT 4.0 is that it can understand even pictures and not just text. So if you upload a picture of, say, this bunion, it can understand that this is a bunion. But for really clinical pictures, I really don't trust it just yet because it's not really fine-trained for clinical pictures. It will just give you a general diagnosis when you upload something medical. So I think this will be a very useful tool in the future when it's fine-tuned for training of that would be trained on clinical pictures for things like skin cancer, for example.
Let's have some fun with Dr. Pun, learning AI at Ontario.
Continuing on with the multimodal version of ChatGPT, it is very useful in translation of documents written in another language. For example, I have this lady with a pathology report from China. It's all in Chinese. I blank out her HPI on it and I upload it onto ChatGPT. And then I ask it to translate it in English. So it translates the whole Chinese report into English. At least I find in Chinese, with these large language models and these transformer models, it's quite accurate. It's much better than Siri has or what Google has.
Go to OntarioMD. Go to OntarioMD.com.
So welcome back. The next part of my presentation is how I use Ambientscribing in my clinical workflow. You may know what Ambientscribing is. It's the patient and you talking together. It's recorded and it's transformed into a clinical note. So you have a conversation with the patient and first you capture the audio of your conversation with basically your Mac computer. I don't even need special mics or anything. This recording is digitized and it's sent to a transformer model which transcribes it into text. That's called a diarization and speech recognition. And then you send the text transcript into a large language model like ChatGPT. And depending on the prompt, you get a medical note, you get a SOAP note or a referral letter, etc. So this is how I do it. Just very simply, this is just very techy. I use ChatGPT 4 to write a recording app for my Mac OS computer. Or you can use any off-the-shelf audio app to record your voice. You just have to record a WAV file. So I install the OpenWhisper AI program inside my computer, and I send an audio recording to it. Here for your techie aficionados, you could just go to this website and download the OpenWhisper model and install it inside your own computer. So why do I use a local recording model? I don't want to use the ChatGPT recording model because I don't know where that audio is going to, and it's really not that private. And it only records usually about 1 minute or 2 minutes of your audio recording. The ChatGPT app does have a recording feature. But when I use my own recording model inside my computer, the OpenWhisper model, the audio recording actually stays inside my computer. So it's ultimate privacy. Nobody knows this recording except for me. Okay, so you don't need HIPAA or HIPAA compliance for this because it's inside your personal computer. It's doesn't even go to the web. It's not streamed to the web like most commercial programs do. They may use your program for training, for example, your audio recording. But this stays on my computer and I erase at will. And the most important thing that I like about this local recording is, patients cannot control what they say in real time to you, right? They could say something really incriminating or something, and that goes to the web. You don't know if it's been saved onto the web. But if you have your own local model, it's in your computer. So here's an actual transcription from my OpenWhisper model. This is a fake patient. It's just my friend who's a nephrologist, and we're kind of simulating. He's seeing a patient of mine who has diabetes with some chronic kidney disease. What brings you here today, Mrs. Smith? Well, my family doctor told me that I have kidney disease. Oh, really? Yes. How old are you? 58. Okay, you and your family doctor said you had something wrong with your kidneys. Do you know what specifically he said? He said I have lots of protein in my urine. I don't know why. So it goes on and on and on. So I take this text, and this is the secret sauce, the very secret sauce of the AI scribe, how an AI scribe works. You simply put the prompt, make a SOAP note, and then you copy paste the text after that prompt, make a SOAP note. Notice I say make a SOAP note, so what brings you here today, and all that text after it. And then press return, and you'll get a SOAP note. You don't have to train it or anything. It says, subjective, and it categorizes it. See, subjective, patient, Mrs. Smith, chief complaint referred by family doctor for kidney disease, medical history, diabetes, no history of hypertension. We talked about all this during our conversation. So this is not made up by the AI. This is actual information from our conversation. So it goes family history, it categorizes it too. We mentioned the blood pressure, so that put it in objective, right? And then we talked about the physical examination. So that's put in objective. We just talked about it when we're actually doing the exam. As we're doing an exam. So it also gives us an assessment, right? And we actually said that in the conversation as well. So it's not making it up. So this patient has microalbuminemia with diabetes. So it also puts a plan because we talked about adding other medications like tamisartan to this patient. And it puts it in the plan. So the secret sauce of the Ambientscribe is you just put a prompt, make a SOAP note, and followed by any type of random history, and it'll make a SOAP note for it. So I don't stop there at recording patient conversations, you could record a whole lecture, whether it's a lecture from online, maybe a YouTube video or a Zoom meeting. So you could put the whole lecture into ChatGPT, 128 kilotokens. So 1 hour's worth is no problem. So after you put in ChatGPT, you could have it summarize your whole lecture, or even you could even have it generate a quiz for you. Here I intended a lecture about the treatment of anemia, and it was about an hour long. And I took the whole audio recording, fed it into OpenWhisper, and have it generate a text transcript. And then I put it into ChatGPT and to generate a summary of it. So it would summarize it, as you see, the whole lecture here. I could also have it generate a quiz for me, see if I learned the topics and facts in the lecture. So it's very useful for continuing medical education. The last use case about using ChatGPT is I'm going to use it to write a query to data mine my EMR to find certain patients, for example, missing a vaccine. So in order to do this, this is quite an advanced feature of ChatGPT. It's called a GPT, and you can train the GPT with certain information. Here I had to upload the OSCAR database structure, just a blank structure, not my real OSCAR database with data in it. It's just a blank skeleton structure. Because Office open source, I know the structure. So I uploaded that into a GPT, and then I just ask it to write me custom queries for the OSCAR according to that structure. So here I write a query to find patients with only one shingles vaccine, because you need to have 2 shingles vaccines. And one thing, it's not ChatGPT that is actually searching my OSCAR database. I'm not letting it any access to my OSCAR database. I take the code, this search code, this query, I copy it from ChatGPT, the code, and I upload it onto my OSCAR query module, and I run it. So it's basically a tool that ChatGPT wrote for me that I could use. And then in this screen, I could find the patients who are missing the vaccine. Then I could contact them. So I'm not letting ChatGPT, again, I'm not letting ChatGPT actually data mine my own data itself. I am only making it write a tool. But there are current barriers with existing systems now. EMRs are mostly on the cloud. So it's a challenge because most people don't have root access to your EMR server because EMRs are mostly certified now. They won't have root access anymore. And all the backup data of EMR may be encrypted and they're not accessible to you anyway for your own data mining. And the cost of accesses can be very cost prohibitive, and the data is worth a lot to these companies, and they will charge you a lot of money in order to migrate your data from a few thousands to $10,000, even $20,000. So I hope OntarioMD will address this issue. Speaking of open source LLM models, you could run your own Ambientscribe on your own computer, spearheaded by Dr. Braden Henley. So this is a very private server you could run yourself and do your Ambientscribe on your own completely. So what are the limitations of AI, large language models? Well, one is hallucinations, but these are usually with the smaller models of the large language models. The larger ones, like ChatGPT 4, do not hallucinate as much. Of course, there's always the stuff that AI can't do, because they're not trained to do, like complex decision making, highly specialized medicines, rare disease. They're not trained to do that. And of course, it's just a machine, right? You can't get emotional support. You could get simulated emotional support from AI, maybe. Ethical decisions, AI has no ethics. It's a machine, right? Emergency situations, you really maybe shouldn't use AI for that either. And of course, AIs cannot do physical examination unless if it's a robot. So that's all I have to say about my experience with LLMs in my clinical practice. Thank you for listening and enjoying my technical talk. So if you have any questions, I'll turn on live and answer your questions. And you could contact me anytime if you have any more questions online.
Let's have some fun with Dr. Pun. Learning AI at OntarioMD.com. Yeah, come. Andy.com. It's your.com.